I'm joined here today by the one and only Nadia Kassem, set to fight in October at UFC 243 on home soil. Nadia, thanks so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. And I understand it's about 10 a.m. in the morning in Australia on Wednesday, is that right?
Yep, that sounds exactly right.
And the one thing I'm curious about, because you are in Australia and you're working for, I believe it's American employers, does that cause you sort of any difficulties having sort of that time difference?
Not particularly. I mean, I don't really deal with that many people like from the US anyway. My manager is from Brazil, and he's really responsive anyway. So, I mean, all the answers I need to get, I get them on time. So it's pretty good.
So it doesn't affect you at all? I mean, you don't have any media obligations that force you to kind of deal with that time change?
Yeah, not really. I mean, like, I don't feel like I'm on a high status enough anyway. Like with the UFC, so like I'm not high demand, so that's fine by me. Like whatever needs to be done, it gets done. So it's all good.
For sure, that makes sense. This fight obviously is taking place in Australia. Well, what was it like when you got the news that you'd be fighting, obviously on this big card and on this Australian card?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like I fought in Melbourne my last fight in February for UFC 234. So it's great like to get back out there. It may not be in my home city, but that's still cool. Like fighting in Australia where there's no time difference and I don't have to adjust is always a benefit. So I'm really excited to get back in there.
And the UFC, they tend to, when they book you in these fights, kind of book you as one of the sort of the homegrown fighters, for the Australian crowd. Do you enjoy that, or would you like to maybe travel more, maybe fight in the United States, maybe in South America?
I mean, man, it's been great so far. But of course, like hopefully, this is a win for me, and then they can, put me out either in the States or, as I said, South America, Asia, wherever. It'd be really cool to travel. I haven't really fought anywhere except for Sydney and Melbourne, so it'd be a good change to fight somewhere else.
And let's talk about your opponent a little bit. I hope I'm saying this correctly. I believe you're fighting Jin Yoon Kim. What are your thoughts on her as you head into this fight?
Oh, look, she's great. She's got great boxing skills. Very what's like conventional like 1-2 style. Nothing that's gonna surprise me really, but I mean you can't underestimate your opponents, and she looks like great, tough, real gritty. I just have to outplay her and manipulate the game plan that way.
And I assume when you got news of this fight, I'm sure your manager called you up and told you about this opponent. Was this someone that you had heard of before? I mean, what kind of went through your mind when he mentioned her name?
I think I've heard of her before. Like I'm not really the biggest like fan of like the UFC in a way where like I don't really consistently watch all the fights. So I've heard of her name before. I think the one that I did hear was when she fought Antonina Shevchenko. So that fight stood out to me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I do know who she is. But even if I don't know or like do know, sometimes it doesn't really matter. Like a fighter might not have the highest like reputation in the industry or like in UFC, but great asset of skills or whatnot. Like it's always the like people who aren't even spoken about that much that come out like amazing and on top or whatever. So yeah, no, she looks great, and I can't wait to throw it down.
And we know that the coaches like to watch a lot of tape, but you as a fighter, do you like to watch tape on your opponents?
Myself personally, usually I don't. This time around, I've taken the initiative to study the opponent a bit more closely. I feel like that's something that I was lacking in my previous fights, and I believe it's something that I have mentally where like I can't bring myself to watch it. I get too emotionally involved, and it kind of throws me off. But I feel like it's something that I needed to do, so this time around I did it, and I can work my game plan a bit better this time.
And I do want to talk about your last fight a little bit, because unfortunately for you, that was your first professional loss. Has that affected your mentality at all as you head into this fight?
Yeah, a little bit. In a way where you go through something kind of traumatic, of course, because like the first loss, I've never even lost in MMA before, so that was a big one for me. And of course, it was on the main card. It's been embarrassing, especially the way I lost. I felt like I didn't even get to showcase any of my skills, and of course, Montana did a good way. Did a great thing, and she did her use her game plan effectively and got me where she wanted me. So props to her, but for myself, of course, I felt a bit embarrassed, and there were a lot of things said about me that I didn't belong in the UFC. After that fight, was kind of shown and all, but that's why I guess this time I feel like I really need to put on a great performance to maintain that reputation or whatever. But mentally, I'm sticking at it, and I'm sure I can perform this time around.
And so what do you do to mentally to kind of move on from that? Is this a case of talking with the people around you, just getting back in the gym and focusing? I mean, what do you do to move on from that?
Yeah, I mean, I just had to take a look at what I was like missing and things that I had to work on. So I guess even though I did lose, like it was a good thing for me. I can take a lot of good from that. Take good from the bad, as they say. I got to now I'm working a lot more on my strength and conditioning. So strength wise, I know that being in flyweight division kind of puts me out in the strength and the weight aspect. It's kind of crappy. Like I feel like I'm in a weird weight division where I'm too big, too small for the flyweights, but I'm too big to make straw. It's either something that I don't know nutrition wise or I'm not used to. But I think that this time around doing a lot more strength and conditioning with my coach, consistently working different things in the gym, and of course this time around I've got a dietitian on board as well, so that's going to hopefully help with a lot of things too.
And so with all these changes, obviously the weight class, mentioned the dietitian, are you feeling different physically at all heading into this one?
Yeah, I feel a lot stronger this time around. Not so much heavier, like you can't really help how much weight you can gain like healthily, like you don't want to like blow out and get like big for no reason. So I still feel I feel quick, I feel fast and stronger, and yeah, I just really hope that I can bring that on fight day as well.
And one thing I do want to talk about is your nickname. I believe it's 817, and I think there was a neat story behind it. What's the story behind your nickname?
Yeah, so it's 187. And 187 is basically the police code for homicide or murder, like in the States. And it's something that's kind of just played on like little rap music and songs. So when I was growing up and I was younger, I've always been known to have a bit of an aggressive personality, a bit of a firecracker in that sense. And so they when I used to get a bit angry or say a few things, or if there was a fight that would happen, definitely outside the cage at this point, so before I was a fighter, they'd be like, oh, relax, 187, or like, calm down, or this girl's a 187. So that 187 just really stuck to me. So when I started hitting in the gym, that kind of stayed around as well. So it was just kind of almost fitting, and it had to like be done. That I didn't have to think about a fight name that was kind of set up for me before. So it was easy to like put on.
Yeah, they always say the best nicknames are the ones that people come up for you, not you coming up and making up your own.
Yeah. It's more natural that way. Like it just feels normal, and like people call me 187 like outside of the gym too. So it's kind of just a nickname that I've had.
And do you have a lot of fans that understand that nickname, or do you have some people thinking maybe it's some kind of weird area code, or maybe she's a big fan of those numbers? I mean, do people seem to understand where that comes from?
Yeah, so where I'm from, like in Western Sydney, like that's pretty known. And then you get a lot of people like kind of throwing shade on it, and they're like, "Look at this bitch! Like she thinks she's like some like murderer or whatever it is."
Yeah.
Like I don't actually like it's just for fight purposes, guys. Like it's all within legal reach. Nothing illegal happening here. So yeah, that's it.
And obviously UFC 243, to come back to the fight a little bit, you're fighting on a big pay-per-view, obviously. I mean, the headliner, you have New Zealand versus Australia. It's a big card. What did you think when you saw sort of this matchup? I mean, does that get you kind of fired up knowing that it has actual ties to Australia?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big thing for us. Like we've got two guys like that are Anzacs. So like we've got Robert, who's from Sydney, and then we've got Israel, who's from New Zealand. So the fact that there's like two top guys fighting against each other and they're like locals in a way, it's a really big thing in the country as well. We've had lots of up and comers come from here, but the fact that we've got two guys is really crazy. And then you've got guys like Alex Volkanovski fighting Max Holloway like in December. It's really unreal to see like people in it from our country, progressing up. So it's really great to see.
And this fight with yourself, obviously a lot of people are excited for it. If you had one message for the fans, why should they tune in for this fight?
Oh, it's going to be a game changer, definitely. On my end, it's going to be a lot of haters shut up in this fight. So I can't wait to actually like put that to use, and without saying anything, just putting in the work and performing.
And it's funny you mention haters, because when we take a quick look on your social media, especially Instagram, it seems you get a lot of interesting comments under all your pictures. What's your reaction to all that?
there are some really creepy people out there, and that's something you have to accept as well. I get a lot of support. Don't get me wrong, a lot of support. And that doesn't go unnoticed. Some people are kind of like, oh, why is it that you don't react to the supporters and you're always just like, oh, fuck the haters or whatever it is. It's not that. It's that like support is great and everything, but then you got the other 20% or 30% or whatever it is. And that's going to obviously affect you a little bit differently, because those people would not say those things like to your face, whereas a supporter would be like, oh my god, like you're great, like whatever it is to your face, and that's normal. But a hater is like so comfortable behind the little screen. Lately I have not been reacting to any of it or anything like that, and I just dismiss it. I just find it's just stupid, and it's like you can't play on an idiot's level. Like you're gonna keep talking to an idiot, so like you're not gonna get anything out of it. But no, it's just you just have to be mentally tough in that sense, and just put it aside and just believe in what you're doing, because these people that are normally commenting are people that are not from the fight world. They're just fans. They've never actually trained.
Yeah.
So you have to really understand and separate that.
And while we're on the topic of social media, I believe at one point somebody was running a Twitter account pretending to be you. Do you finally have Twitter now, or is that Twitter account still not you?
I'm pretty sure that account got cancelled or whatever it is, deactivated. But I have a Twitter account. I don't use it though. I feel like I'm trying to keep up with my other social media platforms, and that's kind of like difficult as it is.
Yeah.
But I know that the Twitter world is more out there, so like I do feel like I need to be using it. I need to navigate my way around, and I should get back onto it.
For sure. Coming back to this fight, what kind of fight are you expecting out there? With some people, they expect brawls, maybe a technical fight. What kind of fight are you expecting out of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure like how it's going to go. Like, I feel like I'm unexpected in the way where like I might have various types of game plans, but I don't always stick to the one. I just kind of like feeling it out throughout the fight. Obviously, I know she's going to be throwing some hands, maybe kicks. I'm not too sure, but most of it has been hands from what I've seen. And obviously, you can't outstrike someone who's just a striker. So it's good to have some variety in the game as well.
All right, now I just have one more for you looking at this fight. How do you see this fight playing out? How do you see yourself getting your hand raised?
Might be a different one this time. Might come in for something crazy. Might be in for a submission. Might be a flying something. We're going to have to wait and see. It's something different, I hope.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be great to see you bounce back. Thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
No worries, of course. Thanks for having me on.